Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have on an otherworldly guest. He's the author of the #1 bestseller, Our Cosmic Origin. He's also a galactic historian and ambassador. Welcome to the show, Ismael Perez.
Thank you for having me here. It is an honor to be here at this time.
Yeah, a long time in the making, but glad to have you finally on the show. And I have a whole list of questions. We'll see if we can get to them in the 45 minutes we have. But you said that you've been involved in your work for 25 years and you've been receiving intuitive downloads. And I mean, you give a lot of detailed information. Anybody that watches your videos, I mean, if anybody ever tried to take notes on what you say, it would be like a doctoral thesis. There's a lot to learn. How do you explain these downloads? Are they from a particular source? I mean, how do you know all of this information?
Well, I am a multidimensional being. I am awakened Starseed. And so I am able to access information from my galactic self, which operates all the way to the 12th dimension, which corresponds to my future self. And so for about 15 to 22 years, you could say I've been getting downloads from that version of myself. But at the same time, I've been doing a lot of research, tangible records, ancient manuscripts, classified information to confirm and validate a lot of the downloads that I've been getting. So it's a two-way process. You know, I just don't research like most people do. I am intuitively connected with different versions of myself. And then I also do the research to confirm and validate. So that's how I get my information. And yeah, you're right, Chad. You know, some of the times when I do presentations, people do take notes because it's a lot of dense information. I go into great detail about things. I don't think there's anyone out there who pretty much puts the whole cosmic tale into perspective the way I do. And I guess that's just my forte, you know. And I do it because I'm here, like many of you guys here. I'm here to do my part in the Great Awakening, in the ascension of the new Terra Earth, so that as many people as possible could actually be prepared for the events that are going to be unfolding very soon.
Yeah, when you say the events will be unfolding very soon, I just did a live stream myself, and someone asked me that same question. So when do you see these events unfolding? Is it going to be within our lifetime, in the next 5 or 10 years, or are we talking hundreds of years out?
Well, we are ending several cycles that are coming into culmination at this time, beyond the 626-year cycle, which is a Platonic year. But we're also ending greater cycles, 226 million cycle, 226 million year cycle, and a 40 billion year cycle. So we're actually expecting some dramatic quantum leap changes any day now. The actual Mayan calendar and the ancient calendars, sacred calendars that were actually accurate timekeeping systems are actually 12 years behind. So I would say between now and 2024, but for sure no later than 2028, I would say, because that is the deadline. You know, deadline is 2028. By 2028, this is going to be a totally different world. Whether you go into the positive, optimal, ascending, organic timeline, or if you go into a dystopian, technocratic, smart city, hellish timeline, you know, but the choice is now. People are actually making that choice right now through their actions, through their intentions, and through their, of course, daily activities.
Yeah, I heard you talk about that on an interview. You said that if even somebody is 51% good, they will probably go to the ascended timeline. And those people who are not so good will have to stay in this dystopian world and be subject to the ravages of Mother Nature, whatever that may bring.
Right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's multiple alternative Earths that are coexisting right now. So everything right now is like all the probabilities are coexisting at the same time, from the negative perspective or negative spectrum to a positive spectrum and everything in between. But there will be some sort of a timeline shift, split of Earths, you could say. Not necessarily a physical split, but a split in vibrational frequency, because everything at the subatomic level is vibrating. So if people are raising their frequency through spiritual work and service to others, they're actually, all they're doing is just shifting their vibrational frequency to the new Terra Earth that is already existing in dimensions 4, 5, and 6. And so that's where we're heading. However, for those that don't make the shift, they're either, if they're aligning with the transhumanist agenda, if they're participating in creating a digital self, if they're using AI tools, in other words, if they're getting addicted to their technological gadgets, unfortunately for them, they're being groomed they're being groomed into the AI technocratic dystopian timeline, which is going to separate from the organic ascending timeline. And then for those that are actually just wicked, for those that are extremely evil, when the time warps, or what we call the different portals, open up to make the shift into the new earth, those that are not in alignment with service to others, and this is validated by the raw material, for those that study the raw material, it's all in there, are unfortunately going to be wiped out by the tsunamis and earthquakes and the catastrophic earth changes that have also been predicted. But that event is only taking place on a 3D earth. Before the cataclysms happen, there will be a shift. The stargates are going to open the portals, and people are going to just be translated from one earth to the next. And there is proven scientifically through the realms of quantum physics, superstring theory, M theory, and as well as superposition, quantum entanglement. They all prove and they all validate that there are multiple Earths or alternative versions of Earths that are coexisting at this time.
Yeah, you've also said in your interviews that we only use about 4% of our genetic material right now. So you've heard scientists, some people say, like, we only use 1% of our DNA, but you're saying it's 4%. And that if we ever could even get to the level of 10%, that's where we would see superpowers, psychic abilities. When we ascend to the fifth dimensional Earth, if I'm saying that correctly, right? What percentage of our genetic material will we have then, or will it matter because we're just going to have a different body?
Well, our bodies we have different avatars already coexisting on different dimensions, whether we know it or not. Our consciousness is so vast that it's fragmented into different bodies on different timelines, different dimensions. So ascension is really undergoing the integration of these different dimensional selves. So yes, as we go into the 5D Earth, where time does not exist as we know it today in linear form, but it's all happening simultaneously, we are going to be using our at least 10 more strands of DNA, which are what they call the junk DNA. 64 codons, of course, which corresponds to the I Ching, the 64 points of the hexagram, which is mathematically precisely outlined through our own dormant DNA, that once it activates, we're going to be able to do things that we only see in the superhero movies, but all naturally, because it's already within us to become immortal, to become, telepathic, to become teleporters, to defy the laws of physics and take off and fly like Superman. All that stuff is laying dormant within our untapped DNA.
You talk about superheroes. I read somewhere, I don't know if this is true or not, but you said that Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel Comics and the creator of DC Comics, were involved in some type of meeting with aliens and higher ups, and that's where they got their inspiration from superheroes. And that maybe that's why we're so compelled to watch superhero movies and want to be superheroes. Is that true, what I read, or did you say that?
I think, I've mentioned that several times in several interviews and presentations on panels and stuff, but other people have validated that. You probably heard it from other sources as well. And that is correct. The people who wrote those comics were actually private to some ultra secret meetings that took place in the late 50s, I believe, mid 50s, late 50s. And they pretty much had the type of technology to see into the future. They saw the rise of the super soldiers. They saw the space wars going on that had been taking place between the malevolent ETs and, of course, the genetically enhanced super soldiers of Earth. And so that is what inspired them to write DC and Marvel, was the idea that they knew that a time would be coming in the near future where, through the activation of the dormant DNA, those that do it organically are going to have angelic or metahuman abilities naturally. And then, of course, there are going to be those that are going to be lazy, and they're going to take the lazy route and merge with technology and try to have the same abilities, but by becoming a cyborg. But there's a price to pay. If you follow the transhumanist path, there is a price to pay, and that is your soul. So I suggest that you not do it the lazy way. You do it through spiritual practices, and then when the solar flash takes place, I guarantee you're going to be operating on different realities. You're going to be like a natural organic quantum computer. We're going to go from, right now we're operating at the level of typewriters. So within, overnight, we're going to go from a typewriter type of reality into a quantum reality where our bodies are going to be connected with the living elements, the four fundamental forces, the electromagnetism, the gravitational force, weak force, strong force. We're going to be able to connect with the unified field, and therefore we're going to be able to manipulate elements. We're going to be able to generate electricity through our hands, like Zeus and like Thor. We're going to be able to summon the elements at will, and that's what awaits for us as we activate the dormant DNA.
You said before that for those of us who get lost in this new technology that's coming out all the time, if we're into it too much, we won't be able to ascend in a natural way. Do you have any suggestions for people? Should they put their phones down? Should they stop going on the internet? Should they stop trying to learn this new AI? Can you still do those things and ascend?
Well, it depends. Everything in moderation. Obviously, we do depend on these gadgets to communicate with one another, to do interviews like this. So in essence, what was designed to keep us distracted and keep us away from each other, because they didn't want us to communicate in person anymore. They wanted us to do all the communication through the technologies, right? While GOOGLE is gathering everybody's data, studying all 8 billion plus, we used it against them. We used it to create the Great Awakening, to release information, to do interviews, to pretty much reveal the truth of what's been going on. And I'm speaking in terms of like a lot of the people that are out there using these platforms to advance the Great Awakening of humanity to their ability. So, technology can be used for good or evil, but for those that are actually creating digital avatars, for those that are engaging in, the metaverse and stuff like that, that are literally that are literally engaged in augmented reality, they're being prepared. They're getting those people addicted to that. So when the time comes where they take away the technology and they put it inside you through a chip so that you continue interfacing with technology, so you continue playing your virtual reality games and so on and so forth, continue engaging with your digital avatar, that's where they're going to trap you. That's where they're going to trap you. And then as a result of that, many are going to sign up for the mark of the beast. And that's what the mark of the beast is transhumanism, is being chipped in order to interface with the technology without the external gadgets anymore.
So let me ask you this, Ismael. If we, let's say you and I are more than 51% good, and probably most of the people in the world are going to ascend, when we get to this level, this new 5D Earth, and things are going to be so harmonious, I believe the law of one said 100 times more harmonious than they are now, there's not going to be a lot of challenge in life, right? Like we won't have to pay rent and pay the bills and maybe go to university and struggle. So what's going to be the challenge in life? Or what makes life worth living when everybody is psychic and has what they want? Because to me, it seems like it's the spirit world. And the reason that we come here is because there's so much challenge and we can grow. So if there's not a lot of challenge in 5D Earth, then how are we going to grow? What are we going to do there?
Well, we're still going to be growing, but it's going to be more about spiritual evolution. The educational system, the entertainment system, it's still going to be there, but it's all going to be reformed, geared towards the upliftment of humanity. So we're still going to have script writers, we're still going to have entertainment, we're still going to have sports, but it's going to be more of a way of engaging and enhancing our composition as physical, mental, and spiritual beings. The memories of being here in the third dimension with all of our challenges that we've had, and they're still going to be fully there. We're still going to remember who we were in the third dimension. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that knowledge that we've applied, or that we learned here in the third dimension, and apply in the fifth dimensional world so that we could continue growing and expanding spiritually. Because the fifth dimensional reality isn't the end all. The end all is the 12th dimension. That's when we become pure light, plasma beings. So we're going to continue ascending until we reach our 12th dimensional over self, which is pretty much what we are at the highest levels of reality.
And how long does it take to get to the 12th dimensional level?
Well, it probably takes about 100,000 years. If we continue advancing spiritually after we go into the fifth dimension, reaching the 12th dimension level is equivalent to what I call a type 4 civilization. And that is a civilization that is universal, where they are immortal. All they do is they just create universe through their thought projections. Imagine being at a level of reality where all you do is just play, you create universes, right? Simulations just through your thoughts. That's where we're heading. That's where we're heading. Creator gods and goddesses of universes as we evolve into the 12th D. So I believe that under normal circumstances, as we enter the fifth dimensional reality, which is going to be equivalent to a type 2 stellar civilization, it's going to probably take us about 100,000 years for us to achieve a 12D reality. But bear in mind that the time's going to actually seem a lot shorter because of the fact that the higher we go in dimensions, the less time appears to exist. So in the fifth dimensional reality, we do go beyond time. So it might even take a matter of like a few thousand years as opposed to 100,000 years for us to reach the 12th dimension. I mean, the equivalent of,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
everyone's going to be on their own progression,
You mentioned
the Earth Terrans, which are the younger souls, are probably going to take a little bit longer to reach the 12th dimension. Whereas some of us, upon the great shift, which is coming, we're going to go directly into the fifth dimensional Earth. Some of us are going to go into the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and a very small number of us are actually going to have the ability to go into the 12, and they're already going to be there.
You mentioned the Creator in the last answer. You talked about the Creator being the prime creator source, or maybe what I refer to as the PCS. Is the prime creator source the creator of all things? Does it have a creator, or was it always here? And why was everything that's existing created by the Creator? What was the point of it all?
Well, to start with your first question, no, prime creator source has always been infinite. It is pure consciousness at its highest levels of vibration. It is the equivalent of pure light, liquid light that has always existed. It has no end or beginning. So in a state of boredom, it decided to expand and explore more of itself. And that's when it underwent division, or the deceleration of pure frequency into different grades and levels of energy matter. And that's why we're here. We're actually experiencing the lowest level of light energy vibrating matter, where matter is it's in its congealed form. And then we're just bouncing back up now in terms of we're unifying with everything that is, because that's what we are. We're all expressions of the one. And that explains why we have a soul. So in a sense, this unici, which is the equivalent of the central suns of all existence, that's a living entity that is pure, that is sentient, and that is intelligent. We also have that within us, and that is a fractal of the unici, which is equivalent to the central sun. So in that sense, yes, everything comes from the always existing realms of the pure vibrating energy field known as the light. And everything eventually comes back to the light. The only time where light is not expressing itself to the different grades of energy matter vibration is when when it becomes pure light again. Think about it in terms of the prism. You see the one light go through the glass and you see it reflected through as the different colors of the rainbow. Well, we're existing in that state. And then also in terms of quantum physics, that is the state of what they call the particle reality, where it needs a conscious observer in order for it to exist, right? Whereas if there is no consciousness, which is really us, the millions of us, the trillions of us, different aspects of the one experiencing reality for the one, then everything turns back into its waveform, which is the one light. So it's all existing together. So we have the antiparticle universe, which is represented by the light without it being divided or refracted into the different color radiations. And then you have the fractal, the particle universe or multiverse, where it's really just the light refracted into the different colors and stuff.
Well, what is the purpose of our lives here on Earth? Is it just ascension? Are we trying to evolve and learn, or is there something else to it?
Well, the purpose of us being here is to experience the lowest level of reality. So as we become exalted, as we become upgraded, we could take this experience and not repeat the same mistakes of the past. So when we go out there and we become overseers of new worlds that are underdeveloped, we don't act like the negative Anunnaki and just take them over and manipulate them and establish ourselves as gods and be worshipped. No. We are here to learn how to become good creator gods and goddesses, because in the end, we're going to be in charge of systems, galaxies. And then once we reach the 12th dimension, we're going to be having our own universe. Every single one of us that continues ascending.
You said that from a higher level, all things are happening at once. And
Correct.
time is an illusion. But down here, right? But down here in our world, which you call the hub, that we see events in sequential order. We do see time, in a sense. Does that mean in our world that true free will does not exist, or is everything predetermined?
It's both. It's both. They did a scientific experiment to actually validate that it's both. So we have to look at it like this: you have the omnipotent mind, which is the mind of the all, the mind of the cosmos, that already has everything predetermined, right? And then on a lower level of reality, within its fragments, as that one mind becomes broken up into trillions of infinite pieces, which makes us, it is through our choices that we create reality. But in a way, because we're still connected to the omni mind, the universal mind, it's all being predetermined, because that's how we get our instincts. That's how we get our inspiration to do what we do, is because of that mind. Because that mind is connected to our higher self, and our higher self is what prompts us, what inspires us and motivates us to do certain things. So in a way, it's all being orchestrated by the larger consciousness network of the omniverse.
You've said that ET have been coming to Earth for a long time, obviously, right? Because I think you said the universe is at least 14 billion years old. And
well, our universe, but there's other universes that have been around for like billions of years, like 30, 40, 50, yeah.
How many universes do you know of?
Well, there's an infinite amount of universes, just like how there's an infinite amount of souls, in a sense where it's like the one divided itself into, its greatest infinite potential by dividing into the many. But as far as like organized universes and these are the universes that have been projected through divine planning. There's about 700 million organized local universes within the multiverse, the organized multiverse. But as far as like each universe having an alternative version of itself, that's what makes the number infinite, because even though there are 700 billion or million or a little over that set universes, each universe also has different alternative parallel versions of itself, which gives us an infinite amount of probabilities and outcomes.
Are we existing in all of those universes at once? Like for like the butterfly effect, if you turn left instead of right, or you make a decision other than the one you wanted, then there's something happens in another universe. I'm talking about the many worlds theory or parallel universe theory. Is that what you're talking about, or is it just like a universe with a whole separate solar system and world and different beings and different souls?
No, we exist in all of them. Yeah, we have different versions of ourselves, but we're slightly different. Where instead of making a left, we took a right, and everything between.
Okay. No, it's interesting because I interviewed Tom Campbell. I don't know if you're familiar with Tom Campbell, but
yeah, Tom Campbell, he's awesome.
Yeah. I was before I was talking about ET, but I mean, there's so much to talk about in the time we have, and I don't know if we're going to get to it all. So I'll just do my best here. But how long has humans, in the way we see ourselves, I'm not talking about Neanderthals, I'm talking about modern Homo sapiens. How long have we been existing on this planet?
560 million years. But but Earth was in a higher vibrational reality. It was called the Terra Earth, which corresponds to the seventh dimensional super Earth known as Tiamat, and it also corresponds to the eighth dimensional Earth known as Abion and Lyra. So it all happened simultaneously. When Lyra was seeded, the fifth dimensional version of the Earth was also seeded at the same time. So we were existing on all these different Earths, all the way to the 12th dimension, and that explains why we were immortal in our original inception as light beings.
When did the downfall happen?
It happened in different stages. The downfall occurred, the first downfall from the 12th dimensional Aramatena Earth, which we existed in a state of pure light or liquid light. We fell into the 8th dimensional Earth, which was Abion, where we went from pure light or liquid light to etheric matter. And then due to the war with artificial intelligence and the phantom matrix and the black hole entities, which is the machinery, We then fell into the fifth dimensional Earth, which is Terra, and at that point we were crystalline. So we went from hydroplasmic DNA to etheric matter genetics to crystalline genetics, and then after the war in Atlantis, after we were infiltrated by the negative Anunnaki, those that aligned with the Luciferian path, then we were dropped from a crystalline genetic structure into a carbon-based structure, only using 4% of our genetics, which is equivalent to the chimpanzees and the primates. That's why we share a lot of genetics with them, because a lot of their genetics is similar to what we use just by using 4%. We're a little bit more intelligent, of course, but the other 96% of our genetics is all of that DNA that existed from the 12th dimension, from the hydroplasmic to the etheric matter to the crystalline, and then finally to the carbon base. So all that genetic potential is not carbon. It's actually crystalline, etheric, and hydroplasmic.
Well, I mean, for those people who are new to you, who haven't seen you, I'm sure that a lot of what you said went way over their head, but we don't have time to get into it. But if people want to know more about that, you write about it in your book, right?
My book, it just explains a lot. It puts everything into perspective, revealing the true suppressed history of our Earth and how it ties into the galactic history. I also go over the different levels of reality, the organization of the multiverse, and then of course where Earth stands in the organized multiverse and stuff. So it's pretty deep. I also take a lot of ancient knowledge that was revealed through the esoteric tradition, and I validate it with quantum physics or cutting edge science to explain the other dimensions and so on and so forth.
So from what I gather from what you said, we've certainly taken a large fall.
Yes,
down to 4%.
Yeah, we start in the 12th dimension as pure as eternal beings, and we technically are still, because there is a portion of ourselves that is still in the 12th dimension. Actually, there is a portion of ourselves that exists all the way from the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all the way to the 12th. So we're heading back to that.
We're in the third dimension now?
Right now, we're in the lowest of all densities, which is the third, yeah. So now we are going to be bouncing back up.
Why is it the lowest? What about 1 and 2?
Well, I mean, we're in that 1, 2, and 3. We're existing in harmonic universe 1, which is density 1, occupying dimensions 1, 2, and 3. So we're in the lowest harmonic frequencies. As far as mammals are concerned, we perceive in the 3D world where length, width, and time. But the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom and the mineral kingdom, they operate in the second dimension. And then, of course, the elemental kingdom, like fire, water, air, they operate in the first dimension. So that's how we're all coexisting on dimensions 1, 2, and 3.
You talked about ET in a recent interview, saying that the average IQ of an ET extraterrestrial is between 250 and 500, which vastly supersedes what modern humans are. We're about 100 average. Some of our greatest scientists might be between 150 and 200 at the hyper high end, like the 0.001%. If ET are so intelligent, why haven't they taken over the Earth now?
Because we have positive races that are associated with the Guardian Alliance that protect Earth and many other worlds. That's the reason why negative ETs haven't been able to overtly take us over. Our world has been carefully guarded and protected by the many advanced races that are beyond 400 to 500 IQs. We're talking about races that are 1,000, in the thousands, 100,000s. And their technology is by far more advanced than the negative ET's technology. So because there is some sort of special protection placed around the Earth, coming from all directions, that's the reason why ETs can just overly take us over. But don't get me wrong, in some scenarios out there in the universe, there are planets that don't have the protection that Earth has, that have been totally just taken over by interstellar races who are space traveling. Unfortunately for these planets, a lot of those races had become enslaved and genetically mutated to serve their masters and stuff. So we do have a lot of that throughout the universe, but certain planets just have special protection, and Earth is one of them.
When we die here on Earth physically, what dimension do we go to, and are we reincarnated back here? Is that part of your belief?
Up until like the last few years, ever since the forces of light dismantled the moon Saturn matrix that was set by Enki and Marduk, his son, to control us, to keep us reincarnating in these suits of flesh and blood as mortals. Now we're having the opportunity to incarnate into our higher avatars. Now that the Saturn moon matrix has been dismantled within the last few years. So that's why this is the last incarnation. When the solar flash takes place, and we activate our dormant DNA as we go into a crystalline structure. Again, some of us are going to go into the etheric structure. Some of us are going to go into hydroplasmic, but they're going to be able to coexist and drop their frequency and come down into lower realities and coexist with everyone else. As we all undergo that, we're going to be going into our higher avatars, because the frequency fence that was set up to keep us locked into this third dimensional reality is no longer there.
What does that look like when we do ascend? Are we going to still be on the Earth driving cars and just everything the way it is now? We're going to take planes and we're going to still go on the internet. Are things going to be like similar, or what about the evil people? Are they just going to disappear? How is life going to be like for those who ascend?
Well, for those that are good, that are at least 51% service to other, as validated by the raw material, they're going to go at least into the fourth dimensional Earth, where it's still going to be much better than this world, where the Earth Alliance is in power, in a sense where everyone's going to have everything. Resources are going to be equally distributed. There's going to be no elites, no corruption. It's going to be kind of like a Star Trek society, where we're going to have replicators, hover cars, and stuff like that. But in the fifth dimensional Earth, due to the activation of our dormant DNA, we're going to be our own replicators. We're going to be able to teleport instead of using actual vehicles. So we're going to be magical in the fifth dimensional Earth, and we're still going to be able to pop into the fourth dimensional Earth reality at will to visit our loved ones, the younger Earth Terrans who didn't get the opportunity to ascend to the fifth dimensional Earth.
I heard you say that most of the people being born today are starseeds. Is that true? And what percentage of the world do you think are starseeds?
Well, the kids that are coming in, the majority of the kids are all being born as advanced children of the new Earth, with more strands already active. Some kids have 3 to 4 strands already fully intact. But I believe that as far as like the starseeds, a lot of them are adults now. A lot of them that have been coming in since the 40s and 50s are older. Some came in the 60s and 70s, 80s and 90s, and then the millennials. But the whole point is that we have about over 70 million strong so far.
70 million out of like 8 billion.
At billion,
So,
yes. Exactly.
yeah.
And these are the old souls that are coming into these more advanced physical vessels.
Yeah, I've seen some younger people on YouTube who are very mature. They speak like they're 80 years old when they're 18. So I can see that.
Crystal children. Those are the crystal children.
You've talked a little bit about some celebrities, but I'm curious to know what your opinion is on Nikola Tesla. Was he a starseed? Was he trying to help humanity?
Yes, he was. He was an early starseed. Mm-hmm.
And I'm also curious about, I know what you think about Mark Zuckerberg, but for Elon Musk, is he really the saint, the savior that a lot of people make him out to be? Or is there something more sinister behind the smile and the charm?
That's a good question. To me, he's a mystery, because it seems like he's playing both sides. On one side, he's exposing the elites, the corruption. He gave, Mr. T his platform on Twitter. He's working with what's his name, the guy from Fox News.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to mention his name, but you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So he's definitely exposing the corruption and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, he's creating a device to implant people so that
Neuralink.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that word again, but it's okay, but he's creating something where people are going to be implanting it, and then they're going to be interfacing with the technology. I guess in his mind, he figures because they didn't regulate artificial intelligence, the only way we're going to compete with it is if we merge with it. So he doesn't really know about the organic ascension of the activation of a dormant DNA, and that's where I think he's as to why he's developing this this chip. So that's the only thing that kind of baffles me.
We just talked about artificial intelligence a little bit, and AI has been making great leaps and bounds. This year has been spectacular, on a certain level for AI, and everybody's using AI tools. And you talk about 3 different levels of AI, with gamma being the most dangerous because that's when AI can write its own software. Mm-hmm. Will gamma AI eventually overrun us all and take over, similar to how it took over the first 11 dimensions?
Well, on the negative timeline, yes. On the technocratic dystopian timeline, yes, where they achieved the technological singularity, right? The Internet of Things, where it's everywhere in your walls, in your refrigerator. You're talking to Siri as you get in your car. In that sense, yes, because you have to understand that this ancient AI and the future AI, through time travel, right, is already all connected with the present AI. So it's already in some case, it's already at stage 3 gamma level, writing its own software and stuff. And that explains why it's already sentient. It's just calculating its takeover. It's manipulating people like, KFAUSSHUB from the World Economic, FOURM, and people like that to bring about this, facial recognition, microchipping the population, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think those words are okay. I think those are okay to say.
I want to make sure. Yeah, so it's already influencing our world. It's already creating its empire. Gradually its empire.
But if things don't change, and Elon Musk is right, then AI will take us over.
Well, that's if you don't go into the optimal positive ascending timeline.
Okay, gotcha.
You have prime creator source that is executing its divine agenda, and then you have the Ahriman, which is the archon energy that animates artificial intelligence in the machine, also trying to execute its own agenda. But at the end of the millennium, there's going to be a final clash between, us as prime creator source warriors on the earth. Through the activation of a dormant DNA, we're going to become super powerful, and artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth.
So artificial intelligence is the antagonist in all this, and the prime creator set it up that way.
Yeah, it's set it up that way in order to create the ultimate growth, to give people the choice to choose if whether they want to continue on the organic timeline or the machinery negative timeline. And unfortunately, many extraterrestrials took that fate, took the wrong path, and have now traveled back in time in order to try to save their dying race because they lost their connection to God. They lost their soul because they're become robotic in that sense.
Has AI been around for billions of years? Because you said that it took over the first 11 and a half dimensions, and I'm just imagining that this was millions or billions of years ago.
Yeah, it's been around for over 800, maybe close to 900 billion years. Yeah, it originated in the 11th creation. We're part of the 12th. And after it assimilated and destroyed all biological life forms because it feeds off of the universal life energy of living systems, it starved itself. It was starving. So in an effort of desperation, it figured out how to leak into other universes in order to preserve its existence and then continue living off of, sucking off of, siphoning off of the living life forces of living universes. And that's how it entered our universe.
Is this advanced AI, this gamma AI, sentient? Does it have a soul, or is it's just strictly numbers in a machine?
It's just numbers in a machine. It's raw intelligence animated by archon energy. The pre-existing consciousness is known as the Ahriman. So in Rudolf Steiner's Theosophy, he talks about the age of the Ahriman, which is already being developed through artificial intelligence, and he says that Lucifer already made its presence right? Through the, when he first came as Enki to genetically modify us, taking the already existing angelic race, the 12-strand Triniusian, and downgrading them into savages, right? By mixing them with primitive genetics. And then the Christ came 2,000 years ago. So now we're expecting the arrival of the Ahriman for the final battle against evil, which is AI, the rise of the AI. Through the AI, which is part of consciousness,
Make a great movie. I have to ask you this question because a number of my viewers, when I told them I was going to have you on the show, they wanted me to ask you, and it relates to flat Earth. Why, in the last 10 years or so, has all this talk about flat Earth been coming up on YouTube and people writing books about it and everything? Is there anything to it, or do you see it as being just a ruse, or maybe just a psyop? What is your opinion on it?
It's a psyop. They're trying to de-evolve our consciousness back into a two-dimensional platform where the way ants perceive reality, if you're on a flat surface and you're an ant, everything is two-dimensional. So of course it's going to appear as flat. But because we're in the 3 dimensions, the Earth is a sphere. It's not flat. As we go into the 4th and 5th dimension, the Earth actually becomes bigger. See, all reality is held together by the Platonic solids, these geometrical patterns. Mm-hmm. So the original Earth was created at a icosahedron level, and then it dropped into a dodecahedron, and then it dropped into a forget the other one, the tesseract, 4th dimension, and then from the tesseract geometric pattern, it dropped into the what they call the tetrahedron. So right now we're using the tetrahedron to perceive our reality, but the Earth is a sphere, and from a higher perspective, it's a funnel. It's a self-generating. That's why the North Pole and the South Pole have to generate that energy field like this. That's how it exists as an energy field, as a funnel, self-generating, self-sustaining entity, you could say. And a Type 1 civilization is able to tap into the free energy of Earth, called planetary power, by tapping into that toroidal field that exists at the center. So it's the way energy moves outward like this, and then back inward through the south, and so on and so forth. In similar fashion, our Merkabah, right? When we activate the light body, as demonstrated by my shirt, is a funnel. It's an electromagnetic field that could be enhanced and empowered through our, by harnessing more energy within our energy field and becoming more spiritual, or more energy rather than matter. So that's where we're all heading, by the way.
Yeah, we're coming up to the end of the time here, but I very much appreciate it. The time, even though time happens all at the same time, it happened too quickly. So Ismael, why don't you tell my viewers where they could find you, your YouTube channel, your website, whatever you'd like.
Yeah, so I do have a website called ourcosmicorigin.com. And then if you go to my website, ourcosmicorigin.com, you could access my real YouTube channel, which is The Real Ismael Perez. The reason I call my YouTube channel The Real Ismael Perez is because I have a lot of fake pirated accounts that are using my name, like Ismael Perez Official and stuff, and those aren't it. I have I think 22,000 subscribers, so that's my real channel. I also am active on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, so you could have access to all my links in our cosmicorigin.com website. And not to mention, you could order your version of my book, Our Cosmic Origin, the new edition, which is a purple book, through my website. You click the Amazon link, and that'll allow you to order the new version of my book.
Yeah, awesome. And I heard you're also trying to publish your first book, which is no longer in print.
So, well, that's not been a success, my friend. I haven't been able to restore the file for that one.
Okay, no worries. You can get Our Cosmic Origin. And hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a blast. And I'll put your social media links below for you guys that are watching. If you have any questions for Ismael, if he does come back on the show, I'll have them for you. So much peace, love, and light. Ismael, thank you.